I guess I was here, so, and that's what I should emphasize. This talk is about physical cyber security, and as we all know that the cybersecurity is of two different layers. The first layer, which is the first layer of defense, is the computerized space, which is the one that we just and we couldn't have control of. And yes, as I said before, hackers are very intelligent, are very smart. They know stuff that we don't. And when the second layer of defense is when they have access to your computer and they play with it. That's the place where your controllers, microcontroller within your computer, can make an action with. So imagine this what's just happened now happen in a large scale industry. Okay, so we have the first layer of defense, which is the computer base, the PLCs and so on. If they have access to it, then they have the whole plant, the physical plant. It's under their hands, and they can tweak the pumps so that explosion can happen. This is very dangerous. This have to be taken care of. So what we're talking about here is after the first layer has been hacked, what can I do as a control specialist in order to save the plant? So here, the sliding detection window is just talking about we don't want to trust fully the neural network detection algorithm based on one reading. So that's why we have a sliding window that takes several detection patient the result based on the neural network, and then sum that up based on some weighting function here with each decision, and this gamma, it will increase and get close to one as we approach the end of the window, because we believe later decision will be more accurate because it has more data, so it can have better decision. So then when this summed up, then we decide if DI is greater than a threshold that we set. If that is the case, then attack is confirmed, and then we take an action. If not, then attack is not confirmed, and we repeat again to go for normal operation. And I will show you now what we can do after we know that we have been attacked in the plan. So here is a schematic block diagram explains the situation. We have the process under LMBC, which is the model protective control. We activate the neural network prediction algorithm that we just showed before, every activation sampling time, which is NA. So then if this is the case, the attack is being detected by just one sample of result, then we check the state if it's within the stability region or not. If not, then we shut down the system and we activate the system right away, just for security. If yes, the state is within the stability region, and nothing happened yet, then we say we don't trust that sensor anymore because it has been hacked. And we use a redundant sensor that we save that is offline that can be hooked when these attacks happen. Then the proceed happen again. Then we proceed again. After several multiple times, like if N8 proceeds and then the I reaches, which is the time here that I show you, after several NA and we reach this NH with this, the sliding window time, we have to check whether we are greater than the threshold. If yes, which is the multiple summation of this decision, if yes, then attack is confirmed, and we optimize control action based on the state measured from the redundant sensor, and we don't trust that sensor anymore. If no, then we optimize control action based on the current state measurement, and nothing had happened, and we repeat again the process every NA time. That is basically what is all this framework is about. This schematic figure shows a scenario base of what could happen. So if we are at the initial state x0, which is the initial time, we operate nicely, beautifully, and when nothing had happened, then the attacks start to hack our system at this point of time. Then attack occurs at this time. Then we confirm that the attack is happening because of the sliding window that I just said before, because we cannot just say from the beginning, from here, that attack is happening. It will take time, and hopefully this time will be very small time that cannot be enough to damage the system. Then the LMBC will computer control action that drive the closed loop state back to the safe region at what we call the small neighborhood around the origin. So now we have just illustrate, or we have just introduce the framework, the theoretical setup, the implementation strategy, and so on. It's better always with theory to bring an example where you can show a case that how can this happen and how can this can be treated in real-time implementation. And that's what we are about to say. So in this case, we have a chemical process, basically a process that can take a reactant A. You can consider any kind of reactant that you know of, and it transform to a reactant B based on some thermal energy. We just put the reactor here, sorry, the reactant here, and then we have the reactor heat up to transform that A into B, basically. So for this simple mechanism, it's can be described the following nonlinear ordinary differential equations, where C, A, and T are the concentration of the material, and T capital is the temperature of the reactor. F is the flow rate, V is the volume, CA0 is the inlet concentration, C is the concentration of the reactant, R is the gas constants, and delta H is the enthalpy. So the objective function is we want to operate the CSTR at the equilibrium blood that we believe is the best optimal point that we can operate at, which is 0.5, which is 0.57 kilomolar per cubic meter and 395 Kelvin. And we want to maintain the system within that stability region. So that is the objective function. As we said before, it's a quadratic cost function that penalizes the deviation of the process state from this set point. Of course, we all know that every state is constrained because of the thermodynamics and because of the physical constraint, the actuators. It's constrained as follow, as you can see here. So we have to make, we have to account and take these constraints into account when we compute control action. In other words, we don't want to compute control action based on the optimization for values that exceed the maximum value that the input can take. So this two figures just to show is a real show for you about how tampering the sensor can lead to unstable operation and can take you outside the stability region, and this can lead to unsafe scenario. So what we did here is we consider a min-max cyber attack that can tamper the temperature, which is this, the temperature only, okay? So we tamper the temperature to its minimum value, as you can see. If this is our stability region, so the ellipses here is tilted, which is fine because different system, every different system have different operating region, as we all know. So what we did here is the attacker set the value of the temperature as the minimum value it can take. As you can, the red trajectory here, it's the attacker setting the temperature. While in reality, the real state is increasing rapidly, which is the temperature, because the control action thinking that we are at lower temperature. So we want to increase the temperature in order to have better production rate. So that's why the state is going out the strategy, because the controller is increasing the temperature because it thinks that the state is actually at its lower point. So we add the cyber attack at 0.67 minutes, and at 0.35 minutes from the beginning of the operation, we had left the stability region. To prevent this, we did the following. We collected data set that is 3,000 time series balanced data set. That is balanced, which means 1,000 under operation state measurement, 1,000 under cyber attack state values, and 1,000 state value under disturbed attack, which is under white Gaussian noise. We trained the neural network for 70% of this whole balanced data set. We validate based on 15%, and we test on 15%. As you can see here, we have implemented early stopping criteria that can avoid overfitting when validation accuracy gets lower than training accuracy. We stop at that point, and we believe this is the best model that we can use, and so on. In the right schematic, in the right plot here, we just show a case where as you increase the data set by letting the state measurement comes more and more and more, you get an average better accuracy of your model, as you can see, because the more data you get by elapsing on time forward, you will have more data about what's going on, and then we can capture the model that has the best average accuracy, and we use it online. All of what we are doing here in this slide is offline. We haven't yet implemented the neural network. After we finish with this offline training, and we believe this is the best neural network that can be used for detection online, then we implement it in real-time implementation. So as you can see here, we set the LMBC for sampling time of 10 to the minus 3 minutes. The final time is 1 minute. The activation detection time is five sampling time. And the sliding window is 3 times of the activation window. And the threshold of the detection decision is 1.6. We incorporate the min-max cyber attack at 0.092 minutes, as you can see here in the red line. And it was detected at 0.115. It's actually after 3 sampling time, which is this is a phenomenal performance for just a simulation sake. So as you can see here, we implement 2 implementations.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Please share your screen, sir.
Yes, I hear you.
We can't see.
What's that?
We can't see your screen, sir. Please share your screen.
Oh, I thought it's still okay. You just lost it for now, or?
No. You can share your screen, sir.
Oh, I'm sharing the screen actually.
Yes,
can I see it now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sorry for that. Okay, so did you guys miss anything before this slide? Should I go back, or you're good? Hello? Okay.
Sir, after you come back, there was no slides.
Say that again.
Sir, after you rejoin, there was no slides, sir.
Okay, so can you see my slides now?
Yes, sir. Now we can see your slide.
So how about this slide? Did you see this slide before? I explained this before. Did you see this before?
No, sir, we don't see.
Okay.
You are putting conversation in the chats.
Okay, no problem. So I will just go through them very fast. This is just a chemical process example that was intended to be used to demonstrate the framework that we propose, which is the MPC, which is the advanced control technique, with the neural network detection algorithm. So the objective function was to go to this set points to operate at, and we want to maintain it within that point. Here in this slide, these 2 figures shows that when we tamper the state measurement by letting the temperature reading it's at minimum value, the actual state, which is the blue curve, it exceeds its value and going outside the stability region because the control action is reading a false measurement. This is just to emphasize the importance of detecting these kind of cyber attack. In this slide, I'm just showing how to train the neural network to come up with a model that can be used a real-time implementation. We have a 3,000 time series data, where 1,000 of these data is based on normal operation, 1,000 under cyber attack, 1,000 under the Gaussian added noise. So it's balanced data. 70% of this data is for training, 15% for validation, and 15% for testing. In this slide, we show that the real-time implementation. We inject the cyber attack at 0.092 minute from the beginning of the operating time, and we were able to detect the attack at 0.115 minute. This is great because we have been detecting that in 3 sampling time from the beginning of the attack. So the green curve and the blue curve just show you how it's very important to check while the attack is confirmed is whether you stay inside the stability region or not. It's not enough to just rely on the neural network. You have to have a checker kind of traffic point of view that can check for you if the attack is confirmed. Please check for me if the state is within the stability region or not. So the green region shows that with the check of the stability region, the state were maintained within the stability region. If you don't check and just rely on the neural network, sometimes you will get out of the stability region, as in this zoom box that is zooming on this point, show you that the blue curve were slightly went outside the stability region. Okay, this is the last 3 slides of the talk. So just want to emphasize the importance of the machine learning detection algorithm, how great they are. So this is a new type of cyber attack. It's not min-max cyber attack. It's called surge cyber attack. It's very well known in the academia and it's very well known in the industry. The surge cyber attack is as follows. The attacker have a knowledge of the cumulative sum of the model-based detection algorithm. So it intelligently have this kind of attack mechanism where it can beat up the detection algorithm. So basically that's what's going on. So the attacker knows the threshold. So based on the threshold of STH, he put the minimum value of the states. And if it's not, he will put this value, which is exactly equal to the identifier of the threshold of the detection mechanism. So there is no way that the real system can know there is an attack because the attacker knows the model that is being used to detect the attack. So in this case, as you can see in the blue, in the right figure, that the attack happened, but it went undetected. That's the whole situation. How can we avoid this? How can we treat this? What we did is the following. We used that neural network detection algorithm that was trained only on the min-max cyber attack. It was not trained on in the surge cyber attack. And guess what? It was luckily that it was able to detect the attack after 3 sampling time with an accuracy of 89%, even though it was not trained on this kind of attack, but it was able to detect it. Why is that? Why is this is the case? Because the surge cyber attack in terms of mechanism is very close to the min-max cyber attack. So it recognized it, even though it was not trained on it. Okay, so lastly, this is the place where I can summarize and conclude my talk. We have a 2-layer of cyber attack. Cyber attack that can hit the computer software, where it can hit the motherboard, it can hit the hardware and everything. It can damage your computer, it can access your camera, it can access your hardware, your files. And that's what we don't talk about it in this presentation. What we talk about is the second layer of cybersecurity. If we assume that the attacker has access to the first layer of defense, and now he has the whole plant ahead of him or her. So what can we do as a control scientist, and in order to suppress the impact of this attacker? So what we suggest is to implement a novel control technique with the machine learning detection algorithm that can read the state measurement and can know in a prior what kind of attack is happening, and then let the control scheme know that the attack is happening in a proactive fashion, so it implements control action to avoid the unsafe scenario. The advantage of this framework is we can detect cyber attack without the knowledge of the process model. That's a very great point of view. The second thing, it can detect a new cyber attack that was not trained during the training process, as we saw before. The disadvantage, or the, I would call it the shortcomings of this framework, is as follows. Good performance cannot be guaranteed because we don't have a mathematical solid foundation of how a neural network can be robust against this attack and against classifying this kind of attack. The second thing is very hard to come up with the more appropriate neural network detection algorithm because of the many factors that play with it during the how many number of hidden layers, what kind of activation function you use, the weighting function updates, what kind of data, and so on and so on. So, and here will I stop, and I'm happy to listen to your question. I was so honored to be here, and I wish my country a very happy and peaceful years to come. And I am so happy to be Saudi. Thank you so much, guys. I'm happy to hear any question. So if there is any.
If anybody have questions, please unmute and ask the questions. Okay. I think nobody have question, but I do have one question.
Go
Sir,
ahead.
just before we experienced a beginning of an attack, cyber attack. Sir, how we can stop this? Do you have any tips for us? Because
Say
this is
that.
the second. This is the second time this is happening. This is feeling very bad for us, and being the organizer of the show, how we can stop this? How we can prevent this?
Actually, this is actually a good question. Actually, I have to think with about this because, as I said before, in my experience, I'm a control engineer, so we always care about the hardware element. So within the industry and the plants, and we always assume that the attacker are very smart to attack the first layer because these hacking techniques is very intelligent, and you cannot know in advance what kind of thinking they have. So it's very hard to know what kind of attacker that you are impacted for. But what you can do is to build a very robust software system. So, for example, I have been in many Zoom meetings, big meetings. So, but it was not fragile to attacks easily because I think it's all about licensing, and it's all about how the setup of the Zoom with the company is being used. So because I haven't experienced any Zoom attack before, to be honest. So this is the first time of a type
Yes,
that. So it's really weird. So
yes,
I'm not sure. So maybe this is like maybe this is nationwide, or maybe you just saw that Saudi mobile show is happening, and maybe the attack. I know this is a talk about cyber attack, and he thought that it could be funny to attack. I think that's the whole game.
That might be the reason, because we are marketing ourselves in 25 countries. So the attackers who are attacking are not from Saudi or Asian country. I mean, not from Saudi or the Middle East region. They are coming out from outer Asian countries. So yesterday we experienced something very bad. Anyhow, we recovered it. Today we experienced something, the beginning of something, and we were able to stop it. I hope it won't happen again. Thank you, sir. Thank you for.
You're welcome. You're welcome. But this is need an investigation, actually, and I will be happy to join your committee for it. And I would so pull some committee for you expertise that in cost that might be in help for you. So it's not hard to build some expertise on this, but it's really worth to investigate. To be honest, to identify at least the IP addresses. If that is the case, then I think we can know how to treat this.
Okay, sir.
You're
Anyhow,
welcome.
we will reach up to you if anything
You're
like
welcome.
that.
I'll be
If
happy to. I'll be happy to serve at any kind of anything you
thanks.
want, guys.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. I think that's it. Bye bye.
Thank you so much once again, sir, for your valuable and interesting speech. And we wish you a very good luck for future endeavors. And also thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for all the attendees here and those who are watching live on YouTube and Twitter. Our next session will be at 3 p.m. We wish you to see you all there. Bye for now. Thank you so much.
Bye bye.